Hello. Let's test the levels on the mic. Hello. Oh. Let's not have the feedback from the video. All right, we'll start in a couple minutes. Couple of minutes. Gives people some time to come here. Whoops, not that. Cannot open file repro.exe. I see. Yeah, I'm going to start with some iced tea. So let me iced tea it up and then we will start. Okay. We have been totally owning this weekend on the stream, especially if you count Friday as part of the weekend. So I figured why not continue a little bit on Sunday, even though not the full day, and crank through and try to do some of the compiler bugs that have been reported. And by do, I mean address them so that they no longer occur. And just before the stream, I was checking, and it looks like bug 169 and 170 were already incidentally fixed by some of the stuff that we've done earlier. Specifically, maybe it was a Thursday night stream the initial eye tracker stream or something like that, where we were making, nested structs infer better and more consistently. That's what those two bug reports were about. Bug 171 is just a complaint about the build message system. So, when your meta program runs, it gets messages about what's happening. And those messages are stuff like, here's some code that's been type checked, or, hey, all the code that we know how to process has been processed. Do you want to add anything, right? That's one of the messages. And then when you see that, you say, oh, okay, let me add this. And then when you add that, that'll go through a compilation phase and maybe loosen up some dependencies, and then it'll be ready. You'll get that same message again, like, okay, everything's done. Do you want to add more, right? And then there's a message called pre-write executable that's like, okay, everything is really done. We're about to save the program, right? The final output. And then there's a post-write executable. And the thing that's being complained about is that post-write executable doesn't tell you if the executable failed or not. Like here, so what the repro case for the bug is it launches something, I think. Let's look at it. Yeah, we start a process called repro.exe. That's, oh wow, it's just eating one of my CPUs, so I hope the stream doesn't barf. Let's make it sleep a little bit, Ignacio. CPU repro.exe. Corsair link service is eating more than our infinite loop. How bad is that? Corsair link service, what are you doing? What do I own that's even by Corsair? I think it's an old headphone that I plugged in for a while. What even does this do? Let's kill it. Wait, it's using the G. Oh no, OBS is using the GPU. Corsair link service. We're killing that. All right, hopefully the stream's still going. Yeah, every time I open the task manager, I get sad too. Like, what is all this stuff? Somebody asked me yesterday, what would you do if you made an operating system? And the answer is it wouldn't have any of this stuff. All right. All right. Well. Wow, 23% GPU. That's quite a lot. Part of the power supply metrics. Well, I'm glad I'm burning an entire core gathering power supply metrics. Okay, let's make this thing sleep. What is our sleep called these days? Is it sleep milliseconds? All right. Sleep milliseconds 100. So we're still looping, just not as much. All right. Wow, we really rearranged some stuff. Okay. Okay. So we do this. Wait, did I not kill the old repro? Repro.exe. Still really a lot of CPU end. Name. What even is all this stuff? All right. Why is it? Wait, does it start repro and then? Oh, I bet if repro.exe exists, it doesn't rebuild it. So let's del repro.exe. There we go. Okay. So that time we succeeded, right? And now it's running, but it's no longer the top of the CPU chart. It's like way down. So much better. Did I ever notice that PUBG's menu uses more resources than the actual game? No, but I'm not surprised. Okay. Now, so now it should fail. Cannot open file repro.exe. Post-write executable message received. So we're still going to send post-write executable. We're just going to tell you if it failed or not. Should I give more information than just whether it failed or not? No. We're going to say success is a bool. And then we have to make this C++ version of this. Struct compiler. Let's copy this. Oh. And bool success. That's fine. So, and then let's just use this in the repro. Hey, Emacs. All right. Wait, did I call it succeeded? Success. All right. So that's what we're doing. And now we have to actually send this message. And where does that come from? Could be in a number of different files. Now, for now, we're just always going to send true, because I don't even know if we're paying attention to linker error code or something. Yeah, so main 756. So we make a message. Oh, wait, it's a compilation phase. Right, we don't want to make a different message. Okay. I was doing the wrong thing for a minute. the question is, do I put a bool here? Yeah, so bool executable write success will be set if. That's fine. And if we don't like this, we will do it later. So we'll change it later. Okay, so let's go back to here and here and here. Okay. So we don't need to delete repro.exe. We just want to see the message. Success true. Okay, so this is all good. Now we just have to make success false if it didn't actually succeed. Okay. Well, so when we run the linker, I mean, there's multiple things that can fail, right? First of all, if we output a .obj file and that fails, and secondly, if we run the linker and that fails. Let's take care of running the linker because that's independent of the backends. The backends are weird because like LLVM has multiple, I don't freaking know. Okay. And the linker is the one that this case is handling. Okay, I'm now skeezed out because I recompiled the release build and we ran the debug version and we got a true. Which means we're not really testing anything. Well, maybe it was just random memory in that version, or did I recompile both? Nope. Maybe we got OXCD and it rounded up to true. All right, well, we'll really know this is working when we can make it false or true at will. Okay. Let's all right, so where do we run the linker? So we get the link command in a couple of places. doing this separately. They're not that different. We could factor these together mostly, but we don't need to. So we run the external command. Let's go to that. Okay. Wait, what? Why are we running a lambda here? Oh, because we're maybe getting a replacement. Right. We're submitting this to the user to get substitutions on what the command could be. Okay. And then for each command, we call run command. And there's usually just one command. But I'm confused about this, though. Oh, I was looking. Yeah. Okay, so we have to set failure if it was one of these, which this also has. And we have to set failure if it's one of these. Like this is all the same. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I don't know why these are so different. We're just going to handle them separately. There might be a reason. Okay, so this run command. We just call system. That's quality. All right, so we're just going to say int. And we're going to say auto result equals, and we return result. So the convention for something like system is that 0 means success and non-zero is an exit code. I mean, I guess we should supply the exit code to the user. The thing is, you know, in the case where there's more than one command, it's like, which code do you give them? I don't know. Let's just get the success part, and then we'll think about the exit code. Okay. Hate typing in Visual Studio. I don't want all this crap popping up all the time. Let's do succeeded. code is equal to 0, not code is not equal to 0. Why is all this, since this is getting bigger, let's factor this together, because well, no, let's paste it and then we'll factor it together. So factor run external programs goes on the piece of paper. Okay. Like, this is almost the same, except for this thing. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see if that worked. Right, we got to define that. This might not be the right place for it eventually, but we'll move it if we have to move it. We'll move it if we have to move it. With my budget, why don't I hire a tester? What makes you think we don't have testers? What are you talking about? Why don't I hire a tester for what? You're going to have to be more specific with your question. Okay. Oh, because we're not using this. All right. Well, see if that was right. Success false. Now let's kill repro.exe. Oh, look at all these repro. How did we get this many? I thought it. Oh, I guess it starts it every time. Well, no wonder. It's fine. It's just a bug repro. Okay. So now it should be true. Now it still can't write it. Oh, we're not trying to write it yet. That's right. I have to delete it, I think. So we ran it because it existed. My mistake. Where? How do I find it? Repro. Not service host. It's not a Windows process. Wait, it's not there? It's there. There's a process with this open. How do I now? If only, do I have to refresh this? If only I had made it take so much CPU, I could sort by CPU. There we go. Like, was I blind? Did I just not see it? All right. So that succeeded. I feel like I should give people the exit code for the linker process as well. What do you guys think? Go to details. Yeah. Yep, the newfangled interface is never good. How easy, difficult would it be to write a custom backend for the compiler to support other architectures not using LLVM? I assume this can be done with the compile time metaprogramming. I don't think you would want to do it with the compile time metaprogramming. You could, but I think you would want to do it more directly than that. I don't know, maybe not. I would do it in C++ or internally to the compiler later when the compiler is no longer in C++, but I don't know. Mr. Why don't you hire a tester guy never answered what he was saying. What sort of information are you planning to make available in error messages? Anything juicy? Well, what do you mean one sort of information? Like, we definitely want the error messages to be as informative as possible about what is actually wrong. That's a high priority. In fact, one of the streams that we'll do probably pretty soon, since we've knocked so many big items off the list, we'll probably do an error message improvement stream. I think Abner's been keeping a list of crappy error messages. And I have improved one or two of them, but there's other things that are wrong. Can I click with the eye tracker? No, and nor would I want to. That would be about as much of a disaster as buying a laptop where you touch the trackpad and it clicks accidentally all the time. And then you accidentally drag the file in C onto some folder and it moves it in there. And then you can't boot your computer anymore. That's probably why they made C read-only, because they had so many people with misfiring trackpads. Any news on the SOA AOS rewrite? No, it's waiting on a different feature. It's going to be built on top of a different feature that isn't done yet. That's why it hasn't happened. You meant a person who would write unit tests and help me debug so you don't have to work on tedious tasks. We have that. These bug filings, there have been 171 of them, and I have not made any of them. They're all made by people who are helping me out. I'm fixing most of them, not all of them, but most of them, because I know the internals of the compilers way better than anybody. So most of these, it's much more efficient for me to fix than for somebody else to try to figure out how to fix and then maybe do it in a non-optimal way and then maybe make the compiler a little bit worse than it would be otherwise, right? So it's probably best for me to fix most of these. And these are informing my decisions about how the core of the compiler should be, right? When I do these big architectural rewrites like I did for the past couple of days, those are informed by my up-to-date knowledge of what kinds of problems are happening. And I wouldn't have a very clear picture of that if I weren't paying attention at this level of detail. I haven't looked at Lenovo laptops lately, but I gave up on them a long time ago. I used to really like ThinkPads, and then for the first year or two after Lenovo bought the ThinkPad brand, they were still okay, but now I just can't take them anymore. They're just too bad. But maybe they've gotten better again. I don't actually know. Is most of my programming time spent on this? It depends. For the past few weeks, it's definitely mostly been on the compiler, but then sometimes I go and work on the game for a lot as well. Okay, let's put the exit code in the message. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's just finish the linker case for a second, and then we'll think about the custom, because I want to do some refactorization. Okay. Played around with the PowerPoint application anymore? Not super much lately. I wanted to for my China presentation, but then I didn't really have time. Will the Sokoban game be open source? The majority of the game will, yes. We will not give out enough that some Android clone shop can just duplicate the entire game, but we'll give you like a game engine with a game in it. Have I read Concurrency in Action, Practical Multithreading? Nope. Are they good books? Am I still looking for a new laptop with buttons? You notice that the MSI GE62 VR, blah, 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 Apache Pro has a sensible trackpad layout. I ended up buying an Alienware. It hasn't been delivered yet. We'll see how it is. MSI laptops seem to, while they have trackpad buttons, which I like, they all seem to have that weird thing where there's the full numeric keypad over on the right-hand side, and that puts the trackpad like off center, and then you're sitting at the laptop looking to the side. It's ergonomically terrible, so I don't like that. I don't know if the one that you're mentioning has that, or if it has a more reasonable more minimal keyboard. Am I okay with trackpads that are one surface but are nevertheless a physical button click for left and right mouse? No, I am not. Not okay with that at all. With a game, do you mean Pong? No, it'll be a stripped down version of the same game that we're selling. It's just, it's not enough that somebody could sell the same game unscrupulously. That's all. Have I checked Godot Engine? I don't know anything about Godot Engine. Any opinion on ThinkPad? I just said what I think about ThinkPads 5 minutes ago. Welcome to the stream. What chair do I use? This is a Herman Miller embodied chair. And it's all right. I've been fiddling with a toy compiler with syntax similar to what you currently use. I found the basic mistake I've used quite often is to accidentally shadow variable declarations by writing colon equals instead of equals. Is this something you warn or error about? We don't warn about it yet, but we probably will unless we change the syntax because it is an easy to make mistake. It's especially easy to catch like if you don't use the variable in that block because then you're like, wait, they're declaring a new variable of this kind and then not using it, but it's shadowing this thing. It's probably a mistake. What's the most recent game I've played that I'd recommend? Opus Magnum. Would I ever consider using game engines like Unity, Unreal, or Godot to make future games? Probably not. We don't know how we're going to change the syntax yet. We're just going to decide that later. Did I like Mirror Drop? I mean, Mirror Drop felt like the beginning of a game idea. And then most of the work went into the visuals, but like I would like to see a version of Mirror Drop with more development on the interactivity side of things. Have I considered making VR games? I have considered it. It's just I don't want my company to go out of business, so we haven't. When was the last time I had some mini cupcakes? A while ago. I started getting fat again, so I kind of cut down my cupcake intake, and it's a drag. Do I use a standing desk? Yes. How do earlier toy languages compare to this one? Did I explore any esoteric ideas with any of them? I mean, they were all based on, funny, funky, weird ideas. But the ideas weren't that serious. The difference between that and now is that this language is informed by what I have come to understand is a good way to develop complicated software after decades of experience, which the other languages weren't. Got to get back on that Tai Chi game. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Have I tried Shenzhen IO? Yes. Yes. Okay. We've got linker exit code. We are not putting it in the message yet. Right. Okay. All right. Exit code 1104. Let's find out. link.exe exit code 1104. Error, link 1104. Cannot open file name. The tool could not open the given file. Well, that's great. So, okay. Let's refactor that. How many lines of code are we at? 41558. So let's say run default link command with %s.obj. I think that's the only difference. Let's cut both of these, right? So I think LLVM oh. Wait, no. This is it. Right? Wait, why are these so different? Output base name, no extension. Okay, x64 doesn't output anything. I'm going to say we should copy that behavior for both. Okay, so the continuous integration system is going to yell at me because I didn't make the run command for Linux or Mac OS return an integer value. So I need to go do that. But first, let me finish this. Okay. Well, okay, well. Let's do release build. Release boot. Oh, other shell. Okay, so this is the LLVM version. This is the x64 version. They both do that, but then of course I can build. Whoa. Okay. I broke something. In both of them. What? Oh, maybe that was LLVM screwing up. Okay. That's fine. So Sokoban is fine in x64. It is not fine. Really not fine. Okay, what? How did I screw it up? Did I make the name wrong? Soko debug 1, 2, 3. Okay. There must have been a difference, like a different default link command or something. Okay. So backend get default link command. That's for LLVM. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Let's verify that this is the problem. Nope, not there. There. Emacs. All right. Yeah, it's just slightly broken. Just a little broken. Okay, that fixes it. So what is the difference between this command line and the previous command line? Look at all this stuff. Like every single symbol is not defined. Well, they're definitely different. Wait, we didn't get the underscore 0. Oh, did I not? Okay. Nobody in chat caught it. Nobody in chat caught it. When you pass file name format and don't use it, thanks. Thanks, chat, for paying attention. Not doing all my work for me. All right. refactor some pasted code regarding running the linker. Okay, let's fix where did we call? Oh, was that in run external programs? We just call system. I guess we do that everywhere. I guess we define system. Okay, so it's taken care of. Is the build system complaining? Nope. Nope. I'm on the screen where you can't see my email. I'm going to, it says successful build. All right. Well, that's good. So before I think about custom commands, let's maybe okay, wait. Okay, so if they give us a custom proc, it's really the same. Okay, wait, we don't actually run anything in this case. I think I just decided that the user gets to do that, right? I don't know. Get link commands. Get assemble command. That doesn't even make sense. We should harmonize this. Like, we don't output ASM files. I must have done this before we really had the back end. Wait, do we? We just don't support that right now. You know, I feel like we shouldn't be... I'm just going to send an email about this. Maybe we'll do that on a stream. Because, you know, when I originally wrote this, the idea was, hey, let's call out to the program and they can give us a list of commands. And I don't think that's very good. I think it's better if it's like, hey, let's call out to the program and they just do whatever they want in order to link the executable. right? And that's still annoying because it's a callback, but it's probably okay for now. Um, I mean, or no, we don't even do a callback. We just have a message. We say, okay, it's time for you to run your link commands or whatever. That feels like the best solution to me. In which case, this other stuff would go away. So I'm going to ask people what they think about that. It's a substantial change because we would stay in that state until the user program said, okay, it's done. All right, I'm getting a little cold, so I'm going to make some tea. Let's do on-topic questions. Back in a second. How many bugs are filed not including this one? Well, $174. 173, not including this one. And we just finished 171, except that I'm going to take further action to clean up the system besides that. Why are linkers so slow? You know, I've wondered the same thing myself many times. I've commented on it before. I mean, sometimes linkers do stuff that you would believe would be slow, like link time optimization, for example. But they're slow even if you don't do any of that stuff. And in fact, the basic job of linking the parts of your program together also has to be done when you load dynamic link libraries at runtime. And yet loading dynamic link libraries at runtime is tremendously faster than linkers, right? As far as I know, they're just written by people who don't know how to write fast software, the end. Like, maybe there's something to it, but I don't know. Like, we're going to skip the linker, right? That's our way of going fast is we're going to write out an executable that works ourselves. And, you know, we're not going to need, you know, the linker is half our compile time right now. We will double our speed by just skipping the linker. It's crazy. Should users do a Unity build style? Well, a Unity build style is the default, right? So we default to one compilation unit right now. If you wanted to build a bunch of object files separately and link them, you could do that. I don't necessarily recommend it because once you bake code into an object file, you no longer really, it's no longer really as malleable. You don't have as much power over it, and it causes more problems. I think I started working on this in September or October 2014. You can look on YouTube when the first demo was. So I had 2 talks on YouTube that were just like ideas, but then the third talk was a demo, and I think that was October 2014, but I'm not sure. Is defer a macro? Yes, I think. No, maybe it's just a template, but templates in C++ are just weird macros anyway. So what does compiler.jai do? I'm assuming this since the compiler is written in CPP. So it's for interfacing with the compiler, right? So it's a library sort of in the standard libraries that defines the data structures that you use for talking to the compiler. So like, I'm going to set my build options for using the LLVM backend. I can do that here. And I can set my build options for x64. And here's the messages that the compiler passes me, right? So here's the meta program kind of stuff. Maybe that should be in a separate place. Here's, you know, calls that I can do into the compiler to like add files to my project and whatever. So that's what it is. It's been a long time since that first demo, but I tend to do projects that take a long time. So yeah. Someone's linking performance numbers. Yeah, I mean, LLD is starting to become reasonable. I mean, it's hard to say because 92. I mean, it's hard to say really how long 92 megabytes should take. I don't have a feel for it. Certainly, GNU Gold was supposed to be the fast linker, and it always felt really slow to me. So the LLD with threads numbers are starting to be reasonable, although like 17 seconds to process a gigabyte of data. Are you serious? Is that right? That doesn't seem right to me, you know? It's like, really? 17 seconds for a gigabyte? So it still seems slow, but it's a lot faster. So right now we had to fall back to using Microsoft link.exe, and that's probably slower than any of the things on this chart. Let me move the chart over here so that people can see. Like MS link.exe would be way on the left, I think. It would be slower than any of these. Although maybe it's about as fast as GNU LD. I don't know. Do you have any tips for new programmers on how quickly to get to know a large code base that you haven't worked with before? I don't know. Like, maybe after, initially you just sort of have to look at it a little bit. Like, that's just obvious. Get a feel for all the major files and what they do. And then maybe set breakpoints at places in the debugger that look interesting and run the program, and then just see what the call stack of execution is to get to that place, because that tells you something about, how it hangs together. Aside from that, I don't know. 17 seconds for a gigabyte seems insanely fast to you. Okay. Let's get so Rad Game Tools makes a compressor. And I want to find when he posted performance numbers. So for OODLE 2.6, do they have encode numbers? They have encode numbers somewhere, but okay. So you could uncompress. Kraken can uncompress a gigabyte per second, and that's not the fast uncompressor, right? Selkie can uncompress, between 3 and 4 gigabytes per second. And that should be a much more intensive operation than linking. Like, linking is kind of a pass-through operation. You're just putting the data together. I don't know. I want to know his compression numbers, though, because I believe the compression numbers are even pretty good. Like, part of the point of Selkie, so, they make these different compressors, and they're tuned for different, like, qualities of compression versus encode time versus decode time, right? Maybe they never listed encode time. Maybe it's just decode time. I don't know. I feel like you could find encode times for those at some point in their development if you do a search. Oh, it's on a 20 core machine? Okay, well, forget that. On a 20 core machine, 17 seconds for a gigabyte is really not. I believe these are single core numbers that I was just looking at. What were we just looking at? Or maybe it's, maybe this is threaded. He doesn't seem to be specifying, but it's an Intel Core i7, which is a consumer CPU, right? It's like, it's a 4-core system. Yeah. Anyway, it's not exactly, you know, they're different tasks and stuff, but it's just, you know, a gigabyte in 17 seconds doesn't sound that fast to me when like a decompressor can decompress 4 gigabytes a second, right? That's a factor of 72 faster. Yeah. And it was a 20 core machine versus a 6 core machine, was it? Or something? 4 core? I don't know. So let's just call it 5. So it's 350 times, Selkie is 350 times faster than the fastest linker here. Does that really seem right to you? Really? All right. You have to spend a lot of time relocating symbols. Symbol table lookup. A symbol table lookup is a hash table, man. Hey, guess what? When you're doing compression, you have to look up in your dictionary what a particular, well, it depends on the compression model, but you're all the time looking up in your dictionary what a particular, you know, sequence of bits means. Again, I'm not claiming they're the same task. I'm just like, no, I mean, I'm not impressed by 16 seconds per gig. Sorry. How many monitors am I working with? I have 2 monitors hooked up right now. The eye tracker monitor and the one with the Twitch chat on it. Okay, let's get back to work and stop complaining about other people's linkers when we're going to try not to use one anyway. Bug 172, what is this? Anonymous structs within anonymous struct cause an assert to fire when declaring. This might be fixed as well. Maybe not. It did. Okay. Well. I have to cross off the factoring that we did for run external programs. I have 2 emails to send. Okay. Bug 172. Does it crash and release, or does it? No. So it's just an assert. It might just be a faulty assert. Now I will check if repro.exe is still running. Oh, look at all these repro.exes. Somebody sent me the command line to how to bulk kill them, but let's not do that. Okay. Linkers can massively improve compile time on large projects. Maybe that's because your compilers are slow too. Okay. Bytecode builder. If there's no identifier, assert that there's an expression. Okay, there's definitely no identifier for anonymous structs. But, okay. So the problem is that we added into here something that doesn't have a binding. It doesn't have a binding. Looks like I have some Visual Studio notifications. Let's see what the important Visual Studio notifications are. Update your trial license. Oh my God, I'm running this on a trial license. All right, well, who knows where my real license is. Maybe after 5 more days, I can't work anymore. I better finish up porting the compiler off of C++. Okay. So we should have rejected this earlier because it's not... Or do I allow this? Do I allow this? Yeah, I do allow this. Why is this going off though? Because I would expect it to have an expression, and that expression is the struct. I don't know why. Oh, wrong repro. The community license, I believe it generates slow code, right? Doesn't Visual Studio Community Edition not really optimize well? Why is there an anon struct in a struct definition? Is there any benefit? Well, that's more for unions. Like saying struct like that, let's go to the thing. You know, really, it's more for something like this, right? That makes sense to do. But a union is just a struct, so you probably should just allow people to do things. Maybe they just want to group this for understandability. Maybe they want to force padding, or they want to specify a separate alignment on the substruct. I don't know. But it's really for unions. Okay. So what declaration is this? Oh, it's right, the type is the struct, not the value. Right. So this is probably tagged with a declaration flag. Right, where's my declaration flags? 10BO. 1 marked as using O, B, 8, 9A, B. Well, we can look at the instantiation. Yeah. Unexpected end of file and macro expansion. All right. So yeah, that was just an assert that the output was correct. Oh, now I'm crashing. Why did you delete my word decal? All right. It's weird that the release build hadn't crashed there. All right. So what happens if I just go into this repro and try an anonymous enum? I don't think we accept that, but let's see. Huh? All right. What file was that? Bytecode builder. I guess I do support. Oh no. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Okay. So like I said, a union is just a struct. So if I go in there and I put union here, this should, whoops, it should also work, but we should test it. And then I'll go print a.aa is a.a. Let's see if the anonymous enum union works. Print. Yeah. So anonymous enum works fine. Anonymous struct a.t2 a.t4. Yeah. So let's print out all of this. I'm a little concerned with the fact that A.T2 and A.T4 are not 0. Well, in fact, A.T4, like, why didn't our initializer run? Does it not work? Does it not work if we don't have an identifier? Yeah, so we have to fix that. Anonymous things do not initialize correctly. Probably again because we skip declarations that don't have identifiers. It's probably a very similar thing. What is the purpose of an anonymous enum? Well, you want access to those enum members in the scope of the struct. Why not? I mean, it's not a super critical feature or anything, but it's like it's something that you naturally can express in the language, so it should work. Like if you could do anonymous structs but not anonymous enums, why not? Because they look basically the same. Why can't you do them both? The annoying yellow thing on the screen is you going insane. Sorry for not turning off the mic while eating. I usually do that. Okay. This concerns me. So I'm going to check in this fix. Well, let's make sure the release build runs on it. I will check this in because it technically fixes bug 172. But then we got to fix bug 172.5. We're not one of these jaded people who just checks things off our bug list and doesn't care if there's a problem still. All right. What? Oh, it's just because the memory is not... Yeah, let me just make sure that this doesn't work. Yeah. So we're going to check that in. Fix the officially reported part of bug 172, but there is still a problem coming next. Solution is coming next. The fix is coming next. What's wrong with C# as a game programming language? It is garbage collected. It takes a long time to compile. It's pretty slow. I don't know. How many reasons do you want? Okay. Now, so we're looking for, there's a flag called has non-zero init data that is not getting set. Did I ever demo that you can use assignments in struct declarations now? I feel like I did, but I'm not sure. Like that you can assign to members of an inherited struct. Wow, somebody saved up quotes from when the bot wasn't working. Okay, so this is in that case when you put an equals inside an assignment on a struct. That's not the case we care about, I don't think. This stuff, so we're iterating over all the members in a struct. Okay, so let's break in size struct when our line number is, well, first of all, for this struct, so line number 11, and we'll make sure the flag gets set there. Yeah. Well, let's see if it's set correctly on the type definition. Oh, not release build, debug build, please. Debug build, please. Maybe not. Okay. It should have one member, right? Scope members 1. Identifier T4. Indeed, there's one thing called T4. Great. So we're going to step down to here. It is not uninitialized. Right, this should be false. Good. Where's the init data one? It's down there. Okay. We'll just step a bunch. Okay, this struct gets non-zero init data set on it. On it and its type. Okay. Now, does this get propagated upward to its declaration? That's the next thing. Okay, so now we will stop here for line number is equal to 4. And we won't even restart because our parent struct had better not be sized yet. Wait, what? What? Come on, bruh. Anonymous struct, line number. Really? Okay, let's do this. Oh, this is going to be a nightmare. Are we in the right? Yeah, we're in the right file. We got this. I'm just going to simplify this. Preload has a bunch of structs, though. Blah. Conditions, desk, file name, 0 is equal to R. No, because the file name is the full name. I'm just gonna, oh. We will break in, wait, what? How are you not stopping here at all? How does that make any sense? Dude, now I just don't trust Visual Studio at all. I have no idea what's going on. Okay. All right. Well, we should be in the preload, right? Yeah, we're in the preload. So finish preload is a thing. I'm going to disable this breakpoint. I'm going to enable one in finish preload. Okay. So now we're done with the preload, which means now any struct that I get should be from my new program. Okay. This one is line number 5, line 5. Oh, it's the union. Oh, it's line 3 now. Did I? Why was I saying line 4? All right, whatever. Line 3. I hope somebody in chat caught that. Okay. Line 11. Line 3. Here we go. This is what we've been waiting for. Okay. So, constants block, our friend. We really should break after setting uninitialized. Because we just iterated through that loop when we didn't need to. We're just, yeah. So X, okay, so the struct as a whole has non-zero init data, right? Member 2, we're going to skip. Member 3 is this struct. Oh, it arrow type inst arrow value is a struct. Okay. So question is, It's not set. So when we have an anonymous struct, the non-zero init data doesn't propagate. When is that supposed to propagate? Okay, well, here's my question. Does that work if this has a name? Or what? Okay, conditions, line number is equal to 3. Okay. So we're going to go to the third member again. First, second, third. Let's make sure it's the right one. It identifier is foozle. That's great. The flag is set. Okay. So, well, let's break when that declaration is created. Are we no jobsing it? I hope we are. Yeah, okay. We're no jobsing it. So all right, so now the reason I'm doing this is so I can say the flags and set a data breakpoint. Added to type table, great. Let's disable this breakpoint. Okay. Where are we? Solidify and allocate stack. Okay. So we're not getting here if it's anonymous. And the reason is probably, you know, because anonymous declarations wait, really? That's right here in this loop where we were. So we could take off the name and break in solidify and allocate and see why we don't get through. It must be here. Base address, import link, type leaf, constant or polymorphic. I don't see the problem. Maybe something else is erroneously set on it. Okay, well, this is interesting. Whoops, I forgot to set my breakpoint. There. Why did I break that? I can't disable it because it's not enabled because we're not running. Visual Studio did not used to have these problems. It's such a poop now. I can't believe it. Oh my God. People ask me why I'm making my own programming language plus tool environment. Oh wait, it is disabled. Then why did we break there? I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. Okay. It's, you know, I have no morale that the breakpoints are correct because like they flash to inactive like that and not like when you're starting up the program. And it's really confusing, and older versions of Visual Studio never did that. All right. Snack time. The problem with trying to use old versions of Visual Studio is code generation bugs don't get fixed, and you can't target various platforms. So for example, if you want to release an executable on a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, those environments only they require relatively recent versions of Visual Studio. Although my friend Sean is still on Visual C6, which I don't blame him for at all. That was probably the best Visual Studio. Okay. Right. So I commented out other stuff. So our first member is the anonymous struct. It gets here. Wait, what? Did we leave the name on accidentally? Oh, we left the name on. Okay. Let's remove the name and try again. Okay. I'm paranoid that I might have left the function. So 3, okay. Okay. 1090. So far, it's seemingly the same. Wait, I thought we determined that that flag wasn't set. Now I really don't know what's going on. We don't need that. Ooh. maybe I was accidentally looking at the wrong declaration when I thought that flag was not set. Okay. Anyway, the thing that matters is the thing that puts this into global data. So we're going to look at that anyway, because that is what is in charge of putting this 23 where it should go in this case. So copy struct literal, not literal. Copy struct global data. And desk line number is equal to 3. We will disable this for now. Okay. Yeah, the first member is our anonymous struct. Desk line number 3, desk file name, make sure we got the right one. Yep, it's repro, great. Address 0, that's correct. Copy declaration to global data. There we go. It's this thing. Ha, ha, ha. You would think, so I went and I made this assertion work. You would think that I would pay attention to the context where it was and what we were doing at the time and whether we want to do that, but no. And then you would think that even when I didn't pay attention to that, that when I saw a bug with that exact thing, that some part of my subconscious brain would say, hey, isn't the name of the thing where you just modified that assert, doesn't that have to do with this thing? And the answer to that is no. So wait, what did that assertion used to be? Let's make sure. So we return no matter what, but we assert that it has an expression. Yeah, let's blame chat. I blame chat also. Why are you guys talking about boats? Unhandled expression in copy expression to global data. So we're letting our static if through. Process anyway is. Oh, I forgot the return. Wait, what? How does that make any sense? What? Let's look at this again. If no identifier, we just return no matter what. That's how it was. All right. You just like boats. Well, that's good for you. I don't really like boats, if I'm being honest. Look, it got the number. It got the number. Let's get all the numbers. How great would that be if we got all the numbers in the world? It's almost like you could use this programming language to do things. It's almost like that. Okay. Fix bug 172 for real this time. 173. Run and debug using x64 backend. When declaring a string using empty string and then a string with a non-empty string value, we get an assert in obj writer due to there being a patch location for an empty string. Okay. That's at least different from what we've been doing. That's sure correct that happens. I need more tea though. Dash x64. Okay, tea break. Let's once again. Where's my on topic questions? No, that's the wrong buffer. You'd think I would. Look how many of, screw it. It'll just take a couple minutes for the tea to heat up. Citrus and honey, that's pretty good. I don't know which tea it's going to be. I'm just doing the water and then we'll decide. I also forgot about these handy peanut butter cups that'll keep the brain power going. Tea is still not ready. Well, you need a license to use this. No, but initially, like long-term, no. Initially, we'll just have people sign a license that says, you know, we're not going to publicly release the code because it's not going to be open source initially. But it'll be free, if that's what you're asking. Water kettle is a Cuisinart, but Really, I should get my act together with the way that I'm making tea in this apartment and do the glass kettle tea candle situation. And that will involve, well, will result in me not having to go make tea so many times because I'll have a giant amount right here. Why not open source initially? A, yeah, we want to avoid large company extend and extinguish attacks. But also B, I just don't want the headache. I don't want to deal with open source community management. I want to work on the software, you know. So, uh, yeah. What do I mean tool environment? Well, I think that shortly after we have a basic system put together, I want to start putting together something that is good at program visualization because I think everybody stinks at that and nobody's even trying. So it'll be more like that. Like I think you would still use Visual Studio Debugger or GDB if you want to debug the program for a while. I don't think we'll make our own debugger yet. But if you want to understand your program, I think we make something that helps you with that. PUBG Good Edition. Shroud would be very excited for PUBG Good Edition, but I don't know if he's ever going to get it. When will you be able to get your hands on the compiler? Some people will be able to get their hands on the compiler this year, and then beyond that, whether it'll be full open release this year or not really depends on how things go. I imagine maybe not quite yet because I think we want to make sure the libraries are pretty good before we do an open release, and that might take a little time. You know, you don't want to screw all your early adopters. And if we do a syntax change, it's not too hard to imagine us writing something that converts the syntax change. But if you totally change the way all the libraries work, that starts to be a pain in the butt. But actually, maybe if our library handling works as well as I want it to be, maybe it'll be fine. It's an interesting point. So we'll see. I got to stop my tea from going. Ah, my chair's stuck. My chair's stuck. What would I consider a success? I don't know. It's already a success as a research project. It'll be even more of a success once we ship a game in it. And then, I don't know. You watched the AST refactoring stream, and then I said once I was done, there was a sweet payoff by way of something new I could work on. I don't remember. Sorry. It might be something I've already done. It might be something I haven't done yet. I just don't remember that comment. Will there be A beginner-friendly online tutorial? Probably. We don't have a time frame for that. You'll have to manage community even if you release compiler as a binary. A little bit, yeah. Like, you know, we would definitely be responding to bugs and answering some class of questions. But I don't want to deal with contributions, for example, or people who are upset that we won't take their contributions, and so forth. So, yeah. I mean, we'll see. That's the idea right now. We'll see if that idea changes. And maybe once we start doing it, it'll either feel good to do or not feel good. So, you know, we're winging it. So it's true that releasing the code means people could be doing bug fixes for me, but you know, I think I expressed in the earlier stream what I think of the average quality of open source software. So I don't think that that process works very well, actually. I think it works much better to have a product mentality. And so that's how we're going to try this one. I think it might work better later once things are very established. But when something is new and it's a really complicated system like this, like accepting bug fixes from people, it's going to be more work to validate the bug fix than to fix it ourselves. If somebody wants to say, oh, you know, here's a repro case, and by the way, we figured out why it's crashing, and here's why, that's very helpful. And then we might use that to write our own fix, but I don't think we would, at least initially, take patches from random people about how to fix problems, you know. Yeah, I know a lot of projects don't accept new contributions easily, but I don't want to do it at all for a while. That's what all I'm saying. I don't want to I don't want to have to deal with that. I don't want to expend mental energy on that at all, is I guess what I'm saying. 173, repro. All right. Debug. Build. Props. 173. What is going on? Okay. This literal make sure it's the right one. Okay, it's in repro line 8. It is that empty string. Interesting. Literal, a new string value, data, count. So the problem is it got into the patch list. For the data segment. Yeah. Okay, add data segment patch. Conditions. Patch expression s is equal to that. I hope patch expression is not null. Okay. Let's see if it's still empty string here. Literal. Literal string, new string value, 0, 0. Okay, well. So why is he saying that there has to be a non-empty string? Because it looks to me like this will happen no matter what. Like, what if I just do that? Oh. What? What? But if I do this, it asserts. That is so weird. Okay, let's see why. Is this getting filtered out higher up in the stack? Oh. It's that the struct is marked non-zero init data. So if the struct consists of all zeros, we won't call this initializer, right? So if I make an int here, x is 5, this will also cause the assert. Yeah, okay, great. I understand the problem now. So the fix is fortunately easy. It's just wait, where was it? Oh, literal string. Okay. If literal new string value dot count, otherwise it's just the empty string. And if it's the empty string, we don't make a patch. There we go. All right. You know, I didn't run a full test suite after the last thing, so we got to do that. All right. Sokoban build test. Check. Run tests. Bug 173. Uh-oh, someone is using the phrase reinventing the wheel in chat. I have a whole rant about reinventing the wheel or using that phrase. Anyone know how many bugs are on the list still? There is one bug left, unless I missed some way back. Yeah, there's totally... I have a rant on YouTube about reinventing the wheel somewhere. I just don't remember which video it's in. There should be a playlist of rants. That would be fun. Okay. All right. Bug 174. Problem 1, when using pointer $T. Oh, this was the one Ignacio mailed me about. All the arguments should be pointers to the same type. Should not work, but does. Yeah. Yep. Okay, problem 2. Spreading pointer to T into ... any produces these errors. Let's see problem 2 because I changed error messages related to that recently. So let's just see if that's better. Debug build. Well, both of these are fixed by my recent polymorphism fixes, I think. Mismatching levels of indirection. ... args. That's not super good. Okay, I'm going to have email part 1 of bug 174 appears fixed. Yeah, we did a lot of work over the past few days, and so a lot of things that were not working are now working. Except wait. We're not saying type mismatch here. We're just saying wanted given. So that's actually a bug because we're not signaling the error. So it's not fixed. Never mind. Never mind. We are detecting the error. We're just not properly erroring. All right. So we're going to break here. Okay. If not matching, okay. I was trying to do that. So the thing is, we're trying to provide some supplementary data in case. Check that types match actually reported an error. If we get here, though, and silent check is false, we definitely want to report an error. So if interp reported error, then we just do this. Else and in theory, then because we reported an error here, the caller will tell us which argument it was in, right? Type mismatch, wanted float, no. Is it because it's varargs? Let's check. like the varargs handler is probably a little different. Okay. If interp reported error, interp report info expr in varargs element percent d. Let's lowercase that I and add our semicolon that we're missing. Wanted pointer to float, given pointer to int in varargs element 2. Yeah, that's good enough for now. We can have more of an explainer saying like, oh, it's a polymorphic varargs. Oh, report no label. So no label will also print, like it printed out all this again, and I don't want that. In varargs element 2. Okay. So fix first part of bug 174. Oh, we haven't got it. Okay. So now, what did we think of this error? Mismatching levels of indirection. Mismatching levels of indirection. So what is scan 3? So he's calling scan 2 with ... any. This is not a helpful error message, right? So scan 3 is calling scan 2 with ... pointer to something. I'll just improve this. Mismatch in element type. Okay. Yes, this is okay. attempt to spread varargs of not even just mismatching, like you can't cast at all, um, of incorrect type, mismatching. Yeah, I'll just say mismatching. Type, and then we're going to use our wanted and given string here. God, Emacs is so slow. Okay, that's a better error message. Wanted, given. Attempt to spread varargs that don't match the argument type. Wanted, any, given, pointer to float. Let's put the dot dot in front of that. Wanted dot dot any given dot dot pointer to float. That should be good enough. I mean, then we shouldn't bother saying this, but whatever. We're going to do a whole giant error message pass later to make them even better. But for now, I'm pretty good with this. And with that, it's Miller time. That's all the bugs. There are no more bugs. If I try to go to bug 175, it is just not there. Ship it. Ship it. Ship it. Okay, since it's Miller time, do we have any post-stream questions? Did anybody learn anything fabulous by my debugging session? Do you know the meaning of life now? Can you pass an array as a varargs argument? Yes. you can. But you can't mix a pre-built array with items that are not an array. That's just not on the table. So, you either give it individual items or you give it a pre-made array. And that's actually what the ... is. So here, where's the repro? Here, this part says args is already an array, but let's pass that array as varargs, right? It happened to be a varargs itself, but this works with arrays that didn't come from varargs. It works with any array. Do I need you to introduce me to more bugs? No, because I enjoy the idea of making good progress. Would I not consider LLVM a good wheel? I consider LLVM to be really, really slow. And a giant amount of code when I only really need or want 5% of the actual code that's in there. And it takes, even on a fast computer, it takes like 45 minutes to compile. It's bananas. Like, yeah, I don't want any of those things to be happening to me. I think it's a good engineering effort, and I'm glad it exists. And we're certainly making use of it for now, but like it's slow enough and problematic enough that long term, our only reasonable plan has to be to get off it. Right? So when we compile, so let's compile Sokoban with the LLVM backend, all right? It takes 1.9 seconds right now. The amount of that actually used by our compiler is, well, it's hard to say how much of this, but it's probably about 0.6 seconds, right? So 2/3 of the time is not taken by us. How are you ever going to be fast if the fastest your tools limit you to is 66% of your current speed or your current runtime? Right? And that's a little bit unfair because that includes link.exe, right? But the reason we're running link.exe is because we were running LLD right now, but LLD has some bugs with regard to debug information on Windows, and it doesn't set it up correctly all the time. So we had to switch back to link.exe. LLD is faster, so this number would go down from 1.9, but not that far. So we just can't. We just can't. You know what I'm saying? And that's without optimizations turned on, by the way, right? Or like I think we have one or two optimizations like mem to reg happening or something where we determined that if we don't do them, it's actually slower. 1.9 seconds doesn't seem too bad. Yeah, it is. Dude, this is only a 75,000 line program. You want to take 2 seconds to compile that? Modern computers are really fast. How fast is the x64 backend? Well, it's faster than that. Keep in mind, we're still running the same linker. But, you know, we can compile the whole program in 1.05 seconds instead of 1.9, right? So 0.9 seconds, well, more than 0.9 seconds is the LLVM backend because our backend takes about 0.1 seconds. So the LLVM backend is about 1 second. And then link time adds on to that. Yeah, LLVM time, 0.96 seconds. Whereas our time is 0.1 seconds. And the only reason it's that high is because it used to be a lot lower, so I haven't bothered trying to optimize it. I can probably get that way down. And we're not even threading this stuff yet, man. Right, so here, you know, 0.4 seconds of this 1 second is the linker. So we output our thing in 0.6 seconds right now. And I believe that with minor changes, we could output an executable and skip the linker entirely. So, it takes about 0.6 seconds to compile this right now. And we haven't even worked on it. Here's the thing. Since it's Miller time on bugs right now, I might go take a short rest, walk around for a second so my body isn't too inactive. And then maybe in a little bit tonight, we'll just take a look at where the time is going. We'll run a profiling pass on the compiler, because I would be interested to know now, after that initial namespace speed up that we did yesterday, where the time is. Like I said, I bet we're still spending a lot of time doing identifier lookup, and that I'll need to think about that some more. But we'll see. Like, I really have no idea what it will look like, and I'm interested. A little off topic, but interested on what are your thoughts on scripting languages in game dev? I don't think they're really that useful. Like, we went through a phase of trying out scripting languages in the 2000s, and there's a problem. Like, they seem to make sense because it's like, hey, our people who are not career programmers will be able to make content, like control NPCs and stuff. There's two problems. One is that a sufficiently powerful scripting language, you just end up making bugs, and the people aren't good at debugging them because they're not career programmers, right? The second problem is that scripting language ends up taking all your CPU time. Like, you think, oh, just script code is going to run in it. It's not very much code. And then you get shocked by how much code your designers write and how many times per frame it needs to run and all this stuff. So the modern version of that actually kind of works is like the blueprint stuff in Unreal and Unity, whatever it's called in Unity, where, you put some boxes and you connect them by lines and stuff, because that's something that non-career programmers can do more effectively. And, you can sort of like run more optimization passes on that because it's more constrained, I think. So I don't really think there's a place for a classic scripting language per se, or very little place. But some people disagree with me. So like Mark Ten Bosch uses Lua on Miegakure, which I don't know why, but okay. Can your polymorphic functions accept other polymorphic functions as arguments? Yes, they can. I have demoed that in previous streams. The thing is that the type has to be fixed by the time you're done calling the procedure, right? So we don't, like, there's no such thing as something that's polymorphic at runtime. Things are only polymorphic at compile time. So there has to be enough information in the procedure call that you can determine what all the types are, right? But provided that that's true, yeah, you can pass polymorphic functions. There's a demo of it. And in fact, just the other day, earlier this week, I think on stream, we had a bug where one of those wasn't working and we fixed it real fast. Did I come to any conclusions on package management? I'm just thinking about it in the background still. Before we do anything like that, we just have to have more formalized support for libraries in the actual language semantics. And then once we have that, I think it'll be a more concrete baseline to use with which to make decisions about how people get libraries. Assuming that's what you meant to ask about. Will we support operator overloading for structs? We already do. Unreal actually can compile the blueprint graphs down to C++ nowadays. Yeah, I'm not surprised. So, it's probably still not that fast because, even though you'd like to rely on optimizers to just figure out the optimal code, they seldom do, right? So if you give them something like a giant blueprint, it's probably not going to be as fast as what a career programmer would have written, but it's a lot faster than running a scripting language interpreter. So like an orders of magnitude faster, maybe. So yeah, That's why I think the blueprint approach is much more successful. You mentioned not doing VR because it wasn't commercially viable. Do you see this project as something on the side, or is it a necessary step to your next release? Well, we're making a game in this language. So yes, we need to build this language in order to make the game. Now, that said, the compiler is now at the point where it's probably good enough to ship the game. It has been for a while, right? So we could, like, if we decide like, oh my God, it's too much work working on the compiler, we could freeze the compiler except for small bug fixes and just 100% on the game. But I don't see a reason to do that. I think we're doing good on the compiler, and we're just going to forge ahead on that. Someone says VR is becoming commercially viable with the release of hardware like the Go, which is kind of affordable. Yeah, I heard bad things about the sales of the Go. From what I understand, the units that it has moved is way below expectations. I don't remember actual numbers, so maybe you want to look into that. But my impression is that it's not really considered successful. People are surprised by that because it was supposed to be a higher end, low price thing. But it might be that the fad part of the new VR wave is mostly gone. And what's going to get people's attention is quality experiences, which Go isn't really because it's a mobile VR experience. Certainly, I only want quality experiences. I don't want mobile VR. I want, full 6DOF good tracking VR. There's a conflict between your philosophy and the fact that so many good games have been written in Unity, C#, and scripting languages. For example, SSR itself is a Unity game. How do you resolve this conflict? There's no conflict. It's just, yeah, I mean, people make games in Game Maker, right? Like frickin' one of my favorite games, 1,000 Spikes, I think that was in Game Maker, or it was in something like that. But it's not the same level of craftsmanship, right? So, for example, I think Steven's Sausage Roll is a really good game. It is not at the same level of technical craftsmanship as what you tend to get when you roll your own. Doubly so, triply so for Unity, C# scripting language kind of stuff. And often that impacts the user experience negatively. In some games, they work very, very hard to get over this. So for example, Inside did a really good job of not looking like a Unity game and creating a really great atmosphere, right? But it took them so long that they probably could have written their own engine, honestly. It took them 7 years to do that. So think about that, right? How do structs and classes differ in this language? There's no such thing as a class. That's how they differ. If my aim is just to do something like Steven's Sausage Roll, should I really be trying to make my code run as fast as possible? Wouldn't my time and effort be better spent in prototyping the game design? Maybe, yeah. Like if you don't really care if your game runs at the highest frame rate or not, and if you don't care if it drops frames once in a while because of garbage collection or whatever, if you'd rather focus on game design, then yeah, that's a totally reasonable decision, right? It also might mean that you can't ship the game or it won't run as well on mobile platforms and whatever. Maybe it will. It depends on the specific game. But that's okay. Like those are decisions that you can make your own decision on, right? Keep in mind, however, those aren't really the reasons why I tell people not to use engines if they can avoid it. Those are among the reasons why I don't use engines that are made by other people. But the biggest reason actually is that 20 years from now, I want to be able to give someone a game that I made and have it be able to run on current PCs or on whatever platforms are existing that we don't know what they look like now. They'll have a totally different CPU and totally different hardware, right? And I'm sure, Unity and Unreal are ubiquitous enough that 20, 30 years from now, somebody will have a port of those things. But it's not going to be a port of every version of Unity. And people complain all the time about how upgrades, even between minor versions, break their stuff, change the feel of the game and all that, right? So if you want to be able to, if you want your game to not be disposable, right? If you want to be able to give it to people later and have it be the same game, and have it be that you didn't have to totally change the way the game feel works because the thing you used for physics isn't supported past x.y, and the only thing available is x.z 30 years from now, then you just have to be in control of the technical layer, which you're not in something like Unity, right? So that is the biggest reason, in my opinion. And people are already bitten by that, right? We just had this whole brouhaha last week, not in Unity, but on the web, of everybody going like, oh my God, Chrome is breaking our audio. We can't, our games all don't work right. And it's like, yeah, you built your game on a platform that's changing. It's guaranteed to change over time. What do you think is going to happen, right? Same thing if you use Unity. And so forth. Yeah, Fidel is in hacks, although I believe the author of Fidel wants to get off hacks because he had a lot of problems that he would rather not have. Just to mess with the status quo, it would be cool to see a class keyword used for something completely different. Any thoughts? Yeah, you can use that keyword to declare that your program is classy. I don't know what that means. What major changes have been made to the compiler since the last demo? There have not been very many semantic or syntax changes. There's been some minor ones, but it's mostly been me re-engineering things and fixing bugs. Like I'm working on robustness right now and code quality of the compiler, because I do want to add a couple more big features, but that'll be nicer to do if, you know, there's a minimum of spaghetti code exploding all over the place. Someone saying Chrome's update broke all web games, not just the ones made with engines. I have firsthand proof. No, I'm not talking about their engines like Unity Web Player. I mean, the engine there is the web browser. If you build your game on top of the web browser, it will stop working. Guaranteed. This is just the nearest thing in time about how things are going to mass stop working, right? There will be many more such incidences until they just don't work at all. That's just how these things go historically. Don't expect people's web browsers in 10 years to be able to play your web game today at all. It's just not how it's going to work. Are coroutines a thing you see having any value? I don't know. Coroutines, no, not really. But somebody could change my mind on that. I mean, in scripting language kind of stuff, there's limited ways in which coroutines seem really good, but I'm not really thinking about scripting language stuff right now. Have you written a lot of tools that do similar GUI things Unity provides for your games? Well, yeah, like we have an editor where you select stuff and you edit slots on entities and stuff, for sure. You need that if you're going to make a game. Yeah, no, we don't have the class keyword. Reserve class as a keyword, but not make it do anything. Any plans for language-bound async constructs? We're going to try to have good ways of debugging a multi-threaded program, but I don't think there are very many built-in language-level parallelism constructs, except, for example, associating a mutex with a data structure or something like that, so that the compiler can automatically generate checks that the mutex is held, for example. Does it trigger me when people online blame bugs on spaghetti code? No, because people online have no idea what they're talking about ever for any reason. You just have to ignore what people online say. If you're going to subvert the class keyword, what would be the most procedural thing you could do with it that would be the opposite of OOP? It would declare a data type as being SOA, right? So when you say class and then a data structure, then anytime you make an array of that thing, it's SOA. How to write documentation? I don't know. Would you rather things like PuzzleScript existed but not for the web? Well, yeah, so the thing is, with the web, we ended up in this weird place where people are trying to write software for this weird interpreted platform called the browser that's not well specified. And like web pages don't even consistently work. Forget games. Like I can't even sign up as an affiliate on Twitch because their frickin' web page for my sign up doesn't work, right? So the web is just completely broken. It's a disaster software wise. And it's not really forgivable because we've known how to make software robust for decades and web people ignored all of that. So I like that PuzzleScript exists, but I wish, we had a culture of things running more on your machine locally. I think that's a better world. It's also a world where we don't contribute as much to greenhouse gas emissions and other, just general electricity waste. Thoughts on visual programming languages? I don't know. Good luck making one. I hope it's good. Is there hope to fix the web? Casey said that everything above TCP UDP is garbage. I agree with that assessment. Everything above TCP UDP is garbage. I don't know where I would start, honestly. Yeah, JavaScript was one of the worst languages ever made. PHP is worse, probably. But like for how influential, or the fact that everybody runs JavaScript now means that the fact that JavaScript is the worst language ever made has done almost incalculable damage. Like even just if Brendan Eich had done 10% better back when he typed all this crap in at Mozilla, the world would be a lot better today. Like that's the kind of scale that successful programs can have. And it's a shame when people just poop stuff out like that and then hope you all like my poopy thing. Oh, look, 6 billion people are using it now. Of course, when he made that, I assume, I don't think anybody back then pictured that the browser would be running programs of the size that it is today. So he was thinking of it probably as a tiny extension language that would be used for small things like typing in your name in a form field or something. Like he probably didn't think that people would be dumb enough to use it the way people use it today. But maybe, I don't know. I don't know. What do I think of Unity beginning to take on data-oriented design and entity component systems? I think that is a positive development. How about WebAssembly? Well, I mean, that's a little better, but the problem is not exactly running an assembly or not. The problem is the semantics that generated the WebAssembly, which hopefully, if all browsers run WebAssembly, that means people could start using languages better than JavaScript, right? That are more strongly typed, for example. And that would be a very good development. But the other part of it that's not going to change is just the squishiness of the browser and its terrible lack of feasibility as a platform. That's still there whether you're WebAssembly or not, because the WebAssembly is forced to deal with the browser as a layer underneath it. So do we have a pipe construct that sends the left-hand expression to the right-hand expression as parameter? No, we don't right now. Some people who do stuff like Link in C# want that kind of thing or the equivalent, and we're thinking about it. Thinking about it. That's a good Reddit picture just posted. What is a better alternative to JavaScript? Anything that is strongly typed. And where every number isn't a float. Yeah, TCP/IP and everything below that was all built back at a time when people building computers were not total jokers. And now they are. Like now the average software engineer is just like some Yahoo who doesn't really know what he's doing and types stuff until it seems to work. And that's why we have what we have today. It's really a shame. And I'm not saying, so the TCP/IP, the era when that stuff was created is before my time even, right? So we're talking about a long time ago when people were serious and knew what they were doing. Have I ever played with Pico 8? No, I have not. If I could design an alternative to OpenGL, how would the API look like? It would be multi-tiered. So you would have a high-level API where you can get stuff on the screen fast, but not care that much about, who's allocating the resources or how efficiently the resources are being allocated or even what's being allocated or anything, right? But then you would be able to swap out each of those higher level procedures with like medium level substitution, right? And then start changing what that does, right? And then each of those medium level things you'd be able to swap out with whatever collection of low level things and start changing what those do, right? So it would be a hierarchical API where you could engage with it at multiple levels and refine what you're doing. I'm offending you. Well, sorry. Do I have a favorite between Vulkan, DirectX, OpenGL, and Mantle? Well, I haven't used Vulkan, but it doesn't seem very promising now. OpenGL I really don't like. Mantle I also haven't really used. And I haven't even used DirectX 12. The last DirectX I've used was 10. And that DirectX 10 and probably 11, which is a little, I don't know, but let's say 10 or even 9 would be my favorite API out of those. But in part it's because I haven't used Mantle, so I don't know. And I didn't do any of the PS4 graphics programming. So for example, I don't know what the PlayStation 4's API looks like. I'm going to stop answering questions about the 30 million lines of code video because people ask me about that every single stream. What do you think about shaders? Do you use them a lot? Yes, we use them a lot. I don't like shaders, but they're the way that we have to tell the GPU what to do. And the GPU is still much faster than the CPU at rendering graphics, so we're kind of forced to use them. All right, that's a lot of questions. I'm going to go offline for now, but I think I'm going to want to come back on a little later and we'll do a profiling stream. If my license for the profiler is not expired and all that. So thanks everybody for coming by. We will probably come back later. For now, I'll see y'all.